Welcome to the Post Racing Podcast with Ron Robinson and Sean Travass. Post Racing, the site for winners.
Afternoon, Sean. How are you this week?
Well, I'm alive, so that makes me better than last week.
Yeah.
Or that's how it felt. Anyway, apologies for the sexy, gruff Mariella Frostrup style voice last week. But
yeah, Orson Welles last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, awesome cart, more like. Yeah. Sun's shining, life's good. I'm still here, still slightly a little bit in there, but nothing as desperate as it was. We've got a zillion things to talk. Well,
haven't we?
To talk about some intriguing racing that we didn't know when we put the list. Here's some races. We'll have a look at those, and some of them have come up with absolutely like, wow, look at the information we can find. Yeah. But more of that later. That's to try and make you open a second beer and stay tuned. Before then, where are we going to start this week?
Hollie Doyle, 1,000 winners.
Yeah, that's impressive, isn't it?
And it just, we've discussed Hollie millions of times in previous podcasts.
Yeah.
But she just keeps giving us reasons to do it again, doesn't she? She's simply now a top-class international rider, male or female. She's up there with any of the lads in the saddle. Absolutely. And she actually joins Hayley Turner now, who's often forgotten, by the way, as the second lady jockey to hit 1,000 winners in Britain.
Yeah.
She actually broke the number of winners by a female rider back in 2019 when she actually rattled up 116 winners. And she actually hit the 1,000 mark worldwide last September.
Yeah.
She's one heck of a jockey. And I'll tell you what, you'd not bet against her getting those 2,000, would you?
No, the thing that I noted, and it's not important, it's just coincidence, that she rode her 1,000th winner on a horse called Handle with Care. Which I thought was very appropriate because she's renowned amongst my racing friends for her ability to get the best out of a reluctant animal and to coax the best out is a better word. Yeah. So the fact that she's done a horse with Handle with Care seems most appropriate. Yeah. To me, she's proved that given the opportunities, that's the thing where the question mark still exists. Given the opportunities, lady jockeys or female jockeys, whatever the appropriate term is, are just as good, or some of them are just as good, if not better, than their male counterparts. Yeah. They need to be given the opportunities. They're still looking for female changing rooms at half the racecourses in the country, so that needs to be sorted out and pretty damned quick to make it a fair level playing field. But give them the rides and the appropriate horses, and they're just as good as anyone else. She's proved it time and time again. So any old-fashioned times. Any old-fashioned people out there, ladies, they shouldn't be working at all, let alone on a racehorse or whatever it may be. Well, she's just proved them wrong, and long may that continue. Hopefully, she encourages a few more to follow through in the ranks, and we'll get more female jockeys in the future. As a punter and a racing fan, she's a good character. She's good, fun personality. She's good with the media, which the next generation, generally speaking, are, because they've been trained to be as much as anything else, and they're aware of social media's impact on the world in general. We need more people like her, and long may that continue, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we move on to a subject which I sort of threw in there because it seemed important, but then realised I don't have a damned clue what I'm talking about.
Well, I've done a bit of research.
Oh, good for you. It's a new style of doping test, but Ron's done the research, so Ron can lead us on this one.
Yeah, it's called gene doping. And we're asking, are the BHA actually ahead of the curve? Well, it actually seems strange to me to do this and spend £2 million on it when they don't actually have any evidence yet that it's happening.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what it is, it basically alters your genetic makeup to make you faster or stronger. They've been doing this with very sick children at Great Ormond Street Hospital for years now. Okay. Creating a gene that then goes into the bone marrow and acts as a kind of a medicine to improve their strength and resilience, that type of thing. Yeah. The more I looked into it, the more complicated it becomes, actually. Do you remember something called EPO that Lance Armstrong got caught using when he was winning multiple Tour de France's?
Yes,
well,
yes.
They now reckon they can create a gene that does the same thing. But because the body seemingly then produces its own red blood cells, then which then automatically increases your oxygen, it's undetectable because it's produced by your own bone marrow.
Gotcha.
So if that is what is happening in horse racing, or what they believe is happening in horse racing, how they're actually going to prove it is, well, it's beyond my comprehension. We could actually do a whole podcast just talking about, looking at the information that's out there at the moment. There's tons of it. Explains how it works and what the benefits are to elite athletes. They prevent injury and extends their shelf life as an athlete. In addition to that, it also keeps them healthier as they reach later life. There are so many pluses. But then if it's increasing the potential for somebody to cheat, it's a huge minus as well, isn't it? So where do you draw the line?
Well, I'm going to interrupt there and remind you of a joke, an old joke that I was told about. Someone wrote a letter into somewhere saying Lance Armstrong apparently won 3 or 4 Tour de France's, whatever it was, while on drugs. I said, blimey, when I was last on drugs, I couldn't even find my bike, let alone actually ride in a race. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend I understand it, because I don't. I've wondered for many, many years why they've never tried cloning the likes of Shergar or Frankel. I guess that's something, futuristic. They did it with Dolly the sheep, etc., etc. So you can see in a sci-fi world, if you like, which we're heading into a sci-fi world, as far as I can tell at my age, that there's the potential there to do great damage to the breeding industry as much as anything else by messing about with the DNA and not leaving it in its natural state. So I'm very wary of that. Obviously, the BHA are wary of it as well. They must, I suspect, and I don't know anything here, I suspect that there may be incidences where this has been found in other equestrian disciplines, shall we say? And that racing around the world, because they've done this in conjunction with the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities, that's my understanding, is wary that if it's allowed to get out of control early, it may be difficult to stop. And then very difficult to prove, because what happens if you dope horse A, who then passes that on to horse B? Is horse B now disqualified because he hasn't been DNA doped, has he? So you create. So I guess you have to stop it at base camp, for want of a better phrase, to stop it going any further. It's certainly an interesting one. I wasn't expecting to see a press release with that on it. Not anything I knew about, but no great surprise. Where there's money to be made, there'll be people trying to find ways to buck the system, shall we say?
Yeah, well, when I was looking up, do my research on this, it seems that the longest queue was formed by cyclists. And when it was pointed out to them that this hasn't been tested, we don't know what the complications and implications of doing this are. And basically, they were the scientists were just met with shrugs, just do it anyway type of thing,
Ouch. Yeah. Well,
are people that desperate to be at the top? Really?
Yes.
They are. That should have been a rhetorical question. Really.
Yeah. It's a crystal clear answer, isn't it? There are people away from racing, away from sport. I watch all these lots of crime programs, some of them act like that. And people kill their granny for 50 quid in certain parts of the world. This is true. Certain types of people. So yeah, where there's money, people will do things. I remember, again, not the same thing, going off at a tangent. Someone said to BMW, "Oh, you've invented this new lock on your car. How long before the thieves can get in it?" And they said 24 hours, probably. Yeah. Where there's a 40, 50, 60,000 pound car, that can be sold for 30,000. I'm making that up, obviously, as a stolen version. That's a lot of money. Someone will find a way around it very, very quickly.
They will.
And that potentially could have, hopefully past participle, could have happened here. Hopefully the BHA and others are ahead of the curve. And if they are, congratulations. So, we just want level, as a punter, you want a level playing field, don't you? Simple as that.
You do, yeah.
And that's the nearest we're going to get. Right, where are we going next? Anti-post?
Oh, gosh, yeah. The risk of anti-post betting. Both.
Yes.
You've said now that both the 1,000 guineas favourite Lake Victoria and the 2,000 guineas favourite the Lion in Winter, both look unlikely to run. I'll be honest with you, I cannot remember the last time I went anti-post on the flat. More often than not, you're looking at juveniles and hoping they train on.
Yeah,
I've seen loads of superstars at 2 that become absolute moose at 3. And not only that, when it's normally an Aidan O'Brien or a Godolphin horse.
Yeah,
you're being offered like 4-1, 7 or 8 months before the race, and you're just not going to take it anyway. I love an anti-post tilt at Cheltenham festivals and that type of thing, but never for a Derby or an Oaks. They're just like spitting into a wind, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I've said this in the past. I'll keep it brief. I went down to John Dunlop's and I looked at the dates to find out when it was. So it would have been about 1990. That doesn't make me feel old at all. I went down there to the local paper and had a chat with John. Absolute gentleman, proper decent bloke. Had a long chat with him. He had an unraised 2-year-old filly that he thought plenty of. So off I went, cap in hand to Ladbrokes, which was my local bookmakers, to see if I could find a price for 1,000 guineas of 1991, and they gave me 25 to 1. So went 25 to 1 for an unraised 2-year-old for the following year's classics.
Yeah.
Now, if you think that's value, then, as Ron would say, you need your bumps examined.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want a couple of 100, 500 to 1 for something like that, and the horse has got to be as good as they think it is. It's got to get through uninjured a 2-year-old career. There's got to be nothing better than that as a 3-year-old. It's got to train on as a 3-year-old. It's got to get to the exact race you think it's going, and there's no reason why I can't go. Likes a bit of cut in the ground. We'll go for the French guineas instead. Oops. There goes my anti-post slip up in flames. Yeah. Etc. etc. And that was the day I stopped anti-post betting, to be honest with you. She did win, by the way, at odds of 4 to 6. It was Shadaid. For those with long memories. But I didn't even have the bet on at that price, so I thought it was a disgrace. I didn't make any money out of it. No. But you've got to look at it and go, well, how many top 2-year-olds has Aidan O'Brien got before this year's classics? Any number. You can even count them on 2 hands, could you? So which one's going to go where? Which one's going to come out the best this season? You're double, treble, quadruple guessing which race they're even going to go for. So no way whatsoever would I be up for that. And I think Late Victoria, he seems to sort of imply, might make it to the Guineas, but she's slowly coming to hand. You can't tell with her words to that effect. We're still training her for it. So she might make it. I'm not saying she won't. So anyone who's got an anti-post bet, do not throw it away.
No.
But the 2 anti-post favourites have been sat there well backed all winter, suddenly might not turn up and all your bets are gone. So a warning sign, shall we say, for future anti-post bets.
Yeah.
And talking of anti-post bets, not that we're doing anti-post bets, I'll chuck this one in just to boost it up a bit. Chuck in 1 horse to follow for the 2025 Turf Flats season. Yeah,
well, I've got one. And it's already in my list of 20 to follow, which I'll be posting up in April on the websites. It's a horse called Pride of Arras.
All right.
Trained by Ralph Beckett, or Rafe as he prefers to be called for whatever reason. This horse won his maiden at Sandown on August the 8th last season. Beat a Godolphin runner called Wild Nature by an easy 3.5 lengths, I think it was. Went off favourite to win the race, this Pride of Arras. The race itself is nothing special. The placed horses, they'll most probably end up nothing but handicappers. I've forgotten the name of the 3rd placed horse, but it was having its second or third run for John Gosden, and they've had it gelded since. You'll see that in handicaps. I'll make a note of it and put it up on the websites. But Beckett won this race, this very same race that he won last year with this Pride of Arras in 2021 with a horse called Westover.
Oh, yeah.
Went on to win the Irish Derby.
Yep.
Also ran second to Ace Impact in an Arc de Triomphe. So I like patterns. I like to see what trainers are up to. And if he's using this race, that particular race last year, as his stepping stone towards classics, and this horse is entered for both the Irish and the English Derby as well, by the way.
All right.
Then you've got to think that he considers it to be at least half decent, and that he hopes that this one will make the grade. He's currently around about 50 to 1 for the Derby, but it's Epsom. And that's another reason I'd never punt those races 12 months ahead of time anyway. Horrible track.
Agreed. Agreed. Right. Mine is trained in Newmarket by the Gosdens. Now, first thing I wrote down when we were talking about this is I was never going to throw a handicapper in. The fear with a handicapper is it wins its first handicap at 3 to 1 and then loses its next 9 because it's been put up a stone. So you never know what the handicapper is going to do to something.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for something that's going to run in group race. I'd love to say that. But group race. I'll come down on the side of Star of Light. Trained by
Star of the Night.
Star of Light.
Oh, Star of Light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daughter of Frankel, who's my all-time favourite horse, make no bones about that. Out of a multiple Group 1 winning daughter of See the Stars, she made her debut at Wolverhampton on the all-weather last December in a mile and a quarter maiden worth all of £3,402 to the winner.
Yeah.
Sent off a 92 chance with an apprentice jockey, won by a cosy half length, but looking as if there's any amount of improvement to come.
Yeah.
Now, she's bred for 1.5 miles. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see her supplemented to get into the Oaks. Not in the slightest. There's any amount of improvement to come. While I was writing this as well, it came to my sort of like attention, if you like, my thought process. That since we're breeding everything for speed and not stamina these days, with the possible exceptions of Japan and Germany, you wouldn't have to be a world beater in the 1.5 miles plus division to sweep all before you, would you really?
No, you wouldn't. No,
because your competition is decidedly less than you're going to get in a Guineas and Sussex Stakes type scenario. So I think that she's going to stay 1.5 miles or more, maybe even the Ledger with a bit of luck. You never know your luck, do you?
You never know.
I think she'll win some races as long as she wins enough races to make a profit by the end of the season. That will do for me, and I'll be very surprised if she doesn't.
Yeah.
So Star of Light for me, beautiful daughter of Frankel, stays 1.5 miles, and I do think that's going to be a fairly weak division.
Yeah, get those 2 horses in your notebooks.
Yeah,
or your trackers.
Trackers, whatever you may use.
Yeah.
And talking of horses, we do things smoothly over here, like our hairlines. We're moving on to the 150. We've done some fun races this week. I would be very careful with how much you stake. I'm just being honest.
If you do.
Well, it's that time of the year as well. We're heading off to Doncaster for most of our bets.
Yeah.
It's that time of year where you've got that battle between the lesser horses with a fitness advantage who've been running on the all-weather, and the better horses appearing back on the turf, but we're second-guessing how race fit they are, aren't we, basically? So we've always got that issue to take care of, and some of these are strange old races. I threw the Brocklesby at Ron from Doncaster, or Don from Roncaster, and that's the 115. We have 17 runners last I looked, 5 furlongs, all 2-year-olds. Not one of them has ever seen a race course before.
Nope.
So this is what I would call a little bit of fun anyway. So Ron says he's had a really good look at this. I'm going to let him go first once again.
Yeah, well, I actually look forward more to this race than I do the Lincoln, I'll be honest with you. It's the fair set of juveniles. Yeah. And whilst nobody outside of the yard knows how good or otherwise they're expected to be, it's just the start of the summer buzz, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It might not matter how good they are either, to be honest with you. They could spook when they get to the track. Need the run badly. The trainer will only know that when the stall's open and it's racing with 16 other horses. Yeah, I've said they could spook when they get to the races and need the experience. So what you want to do is, as well as keeping an eye on the winner, because it might be useful, might not, you want to look out at horses that are finishing the race off well, because there's every chance they'll be going in next time out. Obviously, you can't profile a race like this. But what I can tell you is that 2 trainers that have won this race in the last 3 years have the front 2 on the tissue tomorrow. It's 10-1 bar the 2.
Yeah.
Which is madness, really, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that's all singing and dancing is Norman's Key, or K, as you want to pronounce it. Trained by Hannon for the same owners that he won it for this race. He won it for Ammo Racing in 2022. They own this one, Norman's K. That year, they won it with a juvenile that ended up at the Breeders' Cup, but was also retired at the end of its 2-year-old season, because they most likely knew that it was never going to train on to be a 3-year-old. Persian Force was the name of that one.
Yep.
And it was favoured to win this race too. 6 of the last 8 winners were drawn 7 or higher. And Norman's K has got the 8 stall. So if one horse fits to any great extent, it is Norman's K. I'm going to put him up as my podcast selection because whatever wins it is probably going to be trained for tomorrow. Yeah. Last year's winner only ran 4 more times in its career. And its last 3 runs, it finished 20th of 22 at 150-1. It was last of 6 at 33-1. And on its final ever run, it was 15th of 19 at 80-1. So, you know, that's what this race is all about. The very early season horses that you can probably forget about for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a quick look at the stats. I've gone back through all 27 runnings that I can find on my database. The only interesting thing out of that, never been a winner out of stalls 1, 4, 6, 8 or 12. And that's Norman's Key comes out of 8.
Yeah.
You'll have to break those statistics. We're all aware statistics are there to be broken, so I don't see that as a 100% negative, but that is quite interesting that they haven't. What we got there? Stalls 2 and Stalls 10 have had 5 winners each, massively more than anyone else. That's Karma Chameleon comes out of 2, and I'm trying to scroll down as we speak to find out who comes out of 10. Can't even see it on my computer. Somebody comes out of 10 anyway. Kanishka for Brian Ellison comes out of 10.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
And that's got that's just chucking stats at you. I've got to stick with the old boy himself, Mr. Bill Turner.
Oh yeah.
He's had five winners of this race.
Yeah,
5, and that's a pretty impressive.
Just a bit,
isn't it? Isn't it a pretty impressive statistic in a race of this sort? So he obviously knows how to set one up for it. He has got a horse called the Boreham Bullet with Billy Loughnane in the saddle. Available at 14 to 1. You might get a bit of 16 if you shop around. That's going to be my each way selection with all the confidence my voice implies.
Yeah.
Well, if you're confident in a race like this, unless you knew something, even if you know something, let's just go back and pretend that we know for a fact that Karma Chameleon, which is a joint favourite of Dylan Cunha's, is flying on the Newmarket Gas. And I suspect he is if he's 11 to 4 joint favourite. But that doesn't mean that something trained in Lambourne isn't flying just as well or better, or hasn't been spotted flying on the gallops. You really haven't got anything to compare it with, have you? You can't be running it against other speedy 2-year-olds. He might have a 3-year-old or 4-year-old sprinter he's working it with, possibly, but you don't really know what's going on.
No.
Archibald Ives, interesting. First time blinkers with a tongue tie on, so he's chucked the kitchen sink at him straight away. And Darrell Holland backed into 10s. Quite a shrewd little outfit, that one. I wouldn't be surprised if that runs well. But I'll stick with the Boreham Bullet each way. 0 confidence, but a bit of fun. It's a race I'm looking forward to, a race I will be tuning into live and watching and cheering on whatever wins it, because it's just fun, isn't it? It is. And that's what racing should be. Let's all remind ourselves racing should be fun and not just about making, of course we want to make a profit on the races, but it's also a sport and not just a gambling vehicle. There you go. That's my moral speech for the week. No, I don't mean it that way at all. I just do sometimes think we are inextricably linked with gambling, as we've discussed on numerous other podcasts. It is part and parcel of how it works, but it's not the be all and end all. So enjoying watching that race is just as much fun as having a fiver on it.
It is.
And we move on to the Camage Trophy, 6 furlongs, 225. What do you make of this one?
Well, horses aged 4 and 5 generally deliver the goods here. 7 of the last 10 winners hit that brief. So my first shortlist comprises of Marshman, Witness Stand, Al Shabab Storm, Iberian, James's Delight, Frost at Dawn, and Sophia's Starlight. Weight ranges, they don't count for much at this level of racing. So it's market position I'm looking at next. And I'm looking front 6 on the tissue, but dropping the favourite. Only 1 winning favourite in the last 10 years. And that one went off joint favourite. So my next shortlist, Marshman, Witness Stand, Al Shabab Storm, and Iberian, down to 4. I'm looking next at trainer records. That's something I've got into since when we were looking at races that I can't actually profile. I'm thinking, well, let's see what the trainers were getting up to. Who gets them ready early? On that score, I'm drawn to Iberian, trained by Charles Hills. Won this in 2021. And he's also had another place from just 5 entrants over the last decade. He also has a good record here in this type of race. 3 winners from 12 races, level stake profits of around about 10.75. The Carl Burke trained Marshman would also have been interesting, but Carl's had 5 in for this in the last 10 years, only managed to get 2 placed. Currently around about 15 to 2. I'll put up Iberian as a 2080. He was flying high last season. They ran him in the 2,000 guineas before then being sent to France for the Prix Jean Prat, both Group 1 races. He got his 3rd win in 6 career starts when winning a Class 2 on the Southern All-Weather, first time after wind surgery. And hopefully listed racing is his level. I'm putting up Iberian 2080.
I have zero argument with you there. It's a very well-structured argument in his favour. I've not gone with it, obviously. Interesting that James Delight is the 3 to 1 favourite. I looked at the last 9 runnings, which are the last 10 years of this, and nothing's come out of a stall lower than 4. So James Delight needs to buck that particular trend if he's going to land the odds as 3 to 1 favourite. So I'm willing to pass him by, not just for that reason. I was already willing to pass him by anyway. I quite like Al Shabab Storm. 9-1 at the moment. Again, another each way option. I think that's a decent enough price for that. Yep. Rated 109. That leaves him a couple of pounds to find at these weights, which isn't that much. But what he does have is the advantage of a prep run when he was third at Wolverhampton earlier this month. Now, that was over 7 furlongs. He was caught late on and passed for second that day. Was never going to win it, to be fair. He drops back to 6 here. So fast run 6 in this class could be exactly what he needs to be seen at his best. And I'm hopeful, as I am with a lot of horses at this time of year, that the run under his belt, and it was his first start for Marco Botti as well, may be just what he needed to put him spot on for this. So Al Shabab Storm, 9-1 each way. I don't see anything to dislike, to be honest. And we move on to a race I didn't find quite so interesting. Well, not quite so interesting. Perhaps quite so easy might be a better phrase. It's not easy as in I guarantee I've got the winner, but sometimes you just spot things and you go through it and it all makes sense. And other races you look at and you go through it and nothing makes any sense. So on to the 3 o'clock at Doncaster. What do you make of this one, Ron?
There's 9 going to post for this, another listed race. Again, we only want to be working with the 4 and 5 year olds. They've actually won the last 8 of these. Yep. With 8 of the last 9 winners also sitting front 3 on the tissue, I'm expecting our winner to be one of Liberty Lane, Dancing Gemini, or Botanical. Now, it's actually 15-2 bar that trio, and only one winner in the last decade has retained an SP bigger than 7-1. So I reckon we're on the right lines. A Dutch will secure a profit, and that would be my own play if I was playing. But for podcast purposes, I'm going to go with the favourite, Liberty Lane. 6 of the last 9 winners went off favourite, and 5 of the last 9 winners were drawn in stalls 1 or 2. Liberty Lane has box 1. It's a simple choice, Liberty Lane for me.
Okay. I'm not far away from you. It may not be a Guineas, but it's a decent listed race over a mile. Yep. 2 winning fans in the last 3 years. Charin, if that's pronounced correctly, probably not scoring for Roger Varian last season. And he then went on to win some Group 1s before heading off to stud. So you can see a decent horse in here.
Yeah.
3 winners of this in the last 6 years, trained by Roger Varian. But sadly, we don't have a Roger Varian horse here.
No.
Or do we? Because we have Botanical, who is now with George Bowie, but was with Roger Varian last year. So that's the next best thing. That's what I've written down. We do have to take his race fitness on trust. We haven't seen him since September when he was beaten a short head by Novus at Goodwood. He's had a wind operation since joining the Bowie yard, which makes him all the more intriguing. He's very lightly raced for a 5-year-old. He's only had 9 career starts and 3 victories. Now, this would be his first enlisted class, admittedly. So be wary for that reason. Another one for young Billy Loughlane. But there's every chance there's more improvement to come after so few starts in that career. And he will be the one for me. It's a race well worth watching for future reference. Not a lot would surprise me whoever won it.
No. So what's your selection there then?
I'm going with Botanical.
Botanical. That is your selection?
It is, yeah.
Right. I have now entered that into the database. You can't change your mind now.
Now we move on to what I sent a message to Ron earlier saying 3:15 at Kempton. He's not a massive all-weather fan, Ron, to be fair. What an interesting race.
I tell you, yeah.
Go for it. I hadn't seen. I have to say, I hadn't seen the betting at the time. Now I've seen the betting a bit more. Not so happy about that.
Yeah.
But
we've got 10 going to post.
Yeah.
But we've got a favourite trading odds on Soprano, 8-11 as I was typing.
Yeah.
The second favourite has not seen a race course since Nelson lost an eye.
Yeah.
We've got an Irish jumps trainer training the 4th favourite. Well, at least this race has a flavour. I'm not sure it's to my taste, though. Proof that end of season Group 1's a week. More or less verified by the fact our second favourite here went off favourite to beat Aidan O'Brien's Lang Lang in a Group 2. This horse is called Shiwari. Not seen the track for 550 odd days. Last seen back in October 2023, but they've kept her in training for a reason. She actually went off favourite to beat Lang Lang in that Group 2 that day. And all you can have right now, though, is 4-1. Now, the winner is usually front 2 on the tissue. So one of Soprano or Shiwari wins it. But I'm not sure I'd want to have a bet on either, to be honest with you. I don't do odds on. Don't like odds on. I'd have to take on trust that the second favourite's fit. Can she actually remember that she's a racehorse after that kind of an absence? Now, the third favourite is an American import. Had just one run for the Gosdens, but they are 1 from 2 under a dual licence with this. And John Gosden had actually won it under his own name 3 years earlier. This race has I'll just watch feel to it. The horse that they've imported from America is called Crimson Advocate. And I'm going to put him up as a 2080 because I don't trust the front two on the tissue. Wow. As I say, Gosden's got a decent record here. The horse was only beaten just over 2 lengths by Big Evs in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But now they're going to try and get a 5 furlong horse to stay at least a mile at this level. He'll have to bust the SP stat to win this, and he'll have to bust all kind of other stats because there's there's not been a winner bigger than 9-2 in the last year. It's one for watching, really, but I'll put up Crimson Advocate 2080 just because of the Gosden factor.
Yeah, I to think I've got the winner is a separate question. I thoroughly enjoyed looking at this race. There's so many things that sort of jumped off the pages. What the heck? As you say, Crimson Advocate used to be trained by George Weaver, won the Queen Mary at Royal Ascot in 2023. And all races have been over 5 furlongs. Suddenly steps up to a mile. Now, it's not an impossibility, but it seems a strange move, doesn't it? Soprano, as you say, officially the best filly here after placing the Matron Stakes in the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup at Keeneland, 10th in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf at Del Mar, all Group 1s. Remembering this is only, I believe, listed, isn't it? Is it listed again? Yeah, another listed.
Yeah, race. It is, yeah.
She looks the likeliest winner, but as I've already written down before I saw the odds, no doubt she'll be priced accordingly, and she is. If there's a dark horse here, and again, I didn't know the odds, I've written down Shawari. Now, I'll add to that. Romanova's also in the hands of Hollie Sangster, and I know they've always thought a lot of her as well. So she returned from a long absence last time out. She might outrun the 33-1 price, I'll tell you that. 4 starts as a 2-year-old. She won at Newbury and Sandown. Second in the Rockfell Stakes Group 2. Second, beaten half a length by Ylang in the Group 1 Fillies Mile. Admittedly, the winner failed to train on. He's yet to win another race, and he's probably been retired to the paddocks. But the third is now rated 113, whereas Shawari somehow gets in off 108, even though the runner-up's gone up 5 pounds ahead of her. Sorry, the third has, and she was ahead of her that day. So she may potentially, if she's back to her best, be better than her current mark, i.e. she should be about 114, 115 if she progresses as her rivals have, in which case she'd be favourite here. That would make her better than Soprano. That is ifs and buts and maybes.
It is.
And that's what it's always going to be after 533 days off the track. Hollie Sangster trains at Manton, which was built by his father, basically. And you won't find any better facilities anywhere, probably in the world, I would suggest, for training a racehorse. So if they want to get her fit, then they can, I'm sure. If the horse puts it all in, of course, that's the question mark. So Shawari for me, I was thinking I was talking about a big priced each way option there, if I'm honest with you. And I've now got 4-1, so it'll have to be Shawari. It'll have to be Shawari to win. Even I can't nudge an each way out of that run, really. But I think the form book says she'll go well. The 533 days absence says she won't. So we'll have to wait and see which one of those 2 options is correct. But
I'd rather have yours than Soprano with odds on.
Yeah, I would rather. I'd rather have mine at 14-1, but I didn't have that option. So I say don't rule out Romanova. If you fancy chucking a couple of pence each way at Romanova each way at 33-1, then it
is one of those races, isn't it?
Oh, it's fascinating. I absolutely loved it. And the other thing we haven't mentioned so far, and I'll just do it in passing before we move on to our final race, isn't it nice to have fields of 8 and more that we can...
Do you know what? You've read my mind. All these each way races you can have a little punt on. Brilliant.
Don't have to if you don't want to. You can always go for the odds on winner if you want to, but it's nice to have that option to go, well, let's have a look at something that might hit the first 3 or whatever you want to do. But isn't it nice to have that option? There's nothing against the jump racing, but at the moment it's like even Ascot Sunday, there's 3 and 4 runner fields. And 5
it's mad, isn't it?
It's like, I can't get excited about that, unfortunately.
Well, it's like I keep saying in newsletters, we are now at the fag end of the national hunt season, and the horse population just isn't there to feed it.
No. Agreed. But hey, the flat season started, so we can be on positive news for what?
Yes, we can all.
instead of negative. And I chucked this in for Ron, because I know he likes to handicap even if I don't. So we chucked in a little matter of the Lincoln at 3:30 from Doncaster. The cavalry charge that suits Ron and makes me cry into my beer all day long. But never mind. Over to you, boss. Who's going to win this?
I've started off by saying this is actually mission impossible. The last three winners have been 28-1, 18-1, and 33-1. It's a pin stickers race if I ever saw one. But it's the Lincoln and a bit of early fun. Let's have a little pop at it. Again, we only want to be working with horses aged 4 or 5. 7 of the last 8 winners would have been snapped up in that age banding. So here goes nothing. We've got a first short list of Galaron, Midnight Gun, Thunder Run, Apiarist, Orn, Whipcracker, Magnus Opus, Oliver Show, Godwinson, Alpha Crucis, Native Warrior, Dashing Darcy, and Old Cock. Weight ranges next. 7 of the last 9 winners carried 9 stone or more, so I'll remove those carrying less than that. But also I'm removing those that are carrying more than 9 stone 6, because only one horse in that period of time has pulled it off carrying more than 9 stone 6. So I'm left with Magnum Opus, Oliver Show, Godwinson, Alpha Crucis, Native Warrior, Dashing Darcy, and Old Cock. We're down to 7. Easy, this, isn't it? Marker position comes next, and whilst this is a pretty wide range, it has to be really, doesn't it? 7 of the last 9 winners were actually front 9 in the market as they passed the winning post. Now, I've gone for the 4 of them that are in the front 9 on the tissue now. Might change by tomorrow, possibly will. But the 4 are Oliver Show, Godwinson, Native Warrior, and Old Cock. Down to 4. And that has to be a Dutch. I'd need at least 4 on side in a race like this. But I'm looking at how I get it down to a single 2080 play. And 6 of the last 9 winners returned a double figure SP. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say the winner's going to be a double figure SP. I've got nowhere else to go. So I'm down to Oliver Show, Godwinson, and Old Cock. As I say, down to 3. I'm now going to look at the draw and see how that's gone. And 7 of the last 10 winners have come from a double figure draw. I drop the Haggis trained Godwinson at this point reluctantly, because he could train one for a race like this and he generally gets a good strike rate going into the new season. So I'm left with Oliver Show and Old Cock. I'm going back to age groupings to select a solo play, because while I've pointed out that it's 4 and 5 year olds, 5 of the last 8 winners were 4-year-olds. An Old Cock fits that bill. Oliver Show was a 5-year-old. So after all that, I'm coming down with a horse at the bottom of the weights. Old Cock, 2080.
Well, I've never heard anyone talk so much Old Cock in my life, to be honest with you. But I tried to get that one in. Yeah, I mean, is it an easy race to solve? No, it's not. I started looking at the stats, and then I got a phone call from someone who will remain unnamed. So I'm going to go with what I was told instead, which makes life a lot easier for me and a lot lazier, because that's me for you. Midnight Gun. James Doyle's won 2 of the last 6 run-ins of this from the saddle. Rumour has it that the 4-year-old is working and pulling up trees on the gallops in Newmarket. There's no issue with him. Costs 375,000 guineas as a yearling, so he's never really quite lived up to that price tag.
No.
Done a Kingman out of a Coronation Stakes winner. So you'd expect a mile would be about spot on, wouldn't you, really? Gelded since coming home second to Harper's Fury over this course and distance last October. They say he's strengthened up and bullied up, if you like, I think was the phrase I was given. He's got course experience as well. He's going to handle the going, which has got the word soft in it as I write. I presume it's still got good to soft. 6 to 1 I wrote. I can get 7.5 to 1 now, 15 to 2. So I think that's outstanding value. If this is a race you insist on having a bet in, I might add. And 15 to 2, Midnight Gun each way, clear run. He will not be far away.
Right. Each way or straight on?
I've got to go each way at 15 to 2. I'm too much of a coward.
I suppose you'd have, really,
Yeah, too much of a coward. I've got to do that. At least I can claim something if he finishes 4th, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So And that is my last selection, and that makes it time for you to press the fictitious...
Yeah, the fictitious button.
OMS button.
The OMS. Well,
in tune.
It is so difficult finding OMS on the national hunt through the week now. And the three I've got all come from NACE last Sunday. I think it was their first flat meeting of the season. And it's at this time of year that the markets are going to be the be-all and end-all of finding winners, I'll be honest with you. And the very first one is a horse called Dance for Chester. It was 16-1 into 9-1 in the newsletter. It won at 4-1.
Nice.
Next, East Hampton. 16-1 into 10-1 into 8-1 and with a flame, won 7-1. And last but not least was the horse that won the same race last season. For some reason, they allowed it to open up at 8-1. It's 11-2. He's slightly to 13-2. Won at 6-1.
Nice.
I tell you, the markets early doors, which is why I only send out citers for ratings in the newsletters during April. It's the markets where the winners. That's where the winners will be. As simple as that.
Well, it makes perfectly logical sense. I despise it when the market's the only thing that finds the winners. It puts me out of work. Going with form book becomes an irrelevance, so to speak. But I think just looking at that Lincoln there, we're looking at the first one in the bit. Thunder Run's the favourite, 161 days since it last ran. Midnight Gun 155, Native Warrior 196. Well, somebody knows how fit those are.
They do.
Somebody knows how fit they're not.
Yeah.
But you don't know that, Ron, and I don't know that, Ron. That's the bottom line of it, and nobody listening knows that either, unless they've got a share in the horse. So it's a knowledge that we cannot have. It's not that we don't want to have. It's that we cannot have other than watching where the markets go.
What the market says is what will happen, generally.
Yeah, I think.
Well, that was proven at NACE last weekend, wasn't it, with those winners? And there was about 5 winners on the 7-race card that were highlighted by the OMS section that day. You wouldn't have found them otherwise.
No, that I can believe. As I despise it. I'm just being honest. Yeah, I mean, for instance, last weekend, from if memory serves, and you're open to correct me, didn't Aidan O'Brien start off with some runners that looked like they were the likeliest winners and ended up in the middle of nowhere? I had him the market and then finished nowhere. Well, you know, you could for Willie Mullins read Aidan O'Brien when the flat season starts. As the people blindly follow them because of who trains it, but those particular horses clearly weren't ready to go, or not fully tuned up, shall we say?
Well, it's like what all the big trainers are doing at this time of the year, even the smaller trainers. They're sending out horses to basically see how fit the string is.
Yeah.
They want to gauge the fitness, and then these horses run below what they're expected. The horses aren't fit. Let's ramp up the training. End off. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're doing our dough on them by looking at by looking at the form book instead. That's just the truth. I'm not even bitching about it. It's just how it is.
It's just how it is in April. Yeah, March.
It does make it that little bit trickier because you go through all the form book and come up with some fantastic. I remember many years ago. There's a filly trained by Roger Chalmers. To keep it brief, she finished 5th in a maiden, and I went through all the form book, and all the 4 in front of her had won since, and all the 4 in front of her had won Group 1s since. And you wouldn't have found a maiden with better form than that, and she still didn't win. So you do all this and write all this stuff out, and then the horse isn't fit and makes you look like an idiot. Like I need help for that.
Well, I had one yesterday that had put him in 5 for fun on the new Facebook website.
Yeah,
and it was going well enough. Decided to run out.
What can you do?
What can you do?
Marketing time. Tell them about the new Facebook.
Oh yeah. Well, basically what it is, if you use Facebook and you're as fed up as I am with all of these advertisements and potheads posting up memes of stuff they don't actually believe themselves, and they've just become places of madness, Facebook and Twitter, or X as it is now. So what I decided to do was, why don't I build a social media platform where all we do is talk about sport? Football, horse racing, golf, motor racing. You can set your own agenda because you can create your own groups.
Right.
So if you're interested in Taekwondo, go and set up a group on Taekwondo and invite people on there to come and talk to you about Taekwondo. And all you do is you create your own membership in much the same way as you do at Facebook. You go to www.facebook, that's Racebook with an F in front of it. It's a play on words, .co.uk. Click on register and just follow the path. Now, what will happen is, as soon as you've got your confirmation email that you have to click a link on to become a registered member, I will now get an email saying, Bob Smith wants to become a member. Can you authorize it? Now, the reason I've had to do that is that yesterday when I was looking at the user database, I had Russians and all sorts of stuff going on. I've had to delete about 20 accounts because no matter what sort of security you put in place for these type of websites where you have to log in, somebody will always have a bot that gets around it, and they just import loads of bogus accounts. So now I'll be the only one that sees a bogus account because I'll get an email from somebody in .ru, Russia, saying, can you authorize this person? I'll just say no, end of. So only people who should be on there will actually be on there.
Oh, well, that sounds, it's going to be interesting. When I get some time, I'll sign up and join in as well.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be, from April 1st, I'll be on there. Well, I'll be on there. It's as simple as that. Facebook, as it is, can go blow chunks now if it wants, because I am fed up to the back teeth of seeing adverts for Temu. And if you go and look, say you want to go and book a holiday and you look on Jet2, for instance. Yeah. Then the next time you go on Facebook, there's 100 adverts for Jet2.
Yeah.
Or the holiday you were thinking about buying, anything. Behave. There'll be no adverts or anything like that on Facebook.co.uk.
Too much infringement of personal liberties, isn't it?
I think so. I
understand the odd advert up to a point. You know, it's got to pay for itself. I use Facebook for nothing, so someone's got to pay for it. I'm not naive or that daft.
Oh.
But it is getting to the stage now where there's one post you're interested in for every 27 that.
Well, this is it. I open Facebook now and I end up scrolling for about 2 minutes before I see anything I want to read.
Yeah.
Mad. Absolutely mad.
Adverts or people that you think, well, why have I got this? So you look, it's not someone I follow. So
no.
Why is it appearing on there?
Why is it appearing? Yeah.
But never mind. Stick with us, and you won't go far wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll get on Facebook and we'll just have a laugh talking about sport. That's it.
Indeed. But let's see if they want a really good laugh, and we'll end with giving them our something for the weekend, sir.
Yeah, I'm going for Iberian 2080. All the runes say it's going to run at least into a place, and at 15-2, that'll do me.
Yeah, I've got a horrible thing. I might be in the same race. Is that a Camage Trophy?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going for Al Shabab Storm each way. In the same race. We could still finish second and third, or first and second, or first and third, or whatever. And,
hey, tell you what, last week we both ended up with a profit.
Yeah, well, that's all you need.
We both tipped up the 9-2 winner of that bumper.
Yeah, agreed. Easy winner as well.
It was an easy winner. How did it go off 9-2?
God knows, I don't know. I think the other thing to remember is it's hard work in the week looking at some of the very poor quality racing, I have to say.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
But the weekend racing is much more entertaining and much more fun to look at. But by definition, as in the Lincoln, not quite so easy to try and find.
No. But that's the fun part, isn't it?
That's the challenge. We all like a challenge.
Yeah.
Can't be bad. Right. I think that we've bored them to tears long enough.
Yep. 50 minutes coming up for. That'll do them. Yep.
Not too bad. Have a good weekend, everybody. Oh, no. Have I forgot to tell you I can't do a podcast next week?
Oh, somebody's in Dubai.
I'll be in Dubai. What a shame.
Yeah.
Not looking for any sympathy. Well, I won't be when I try taking out a mortgage to buy myself a beer. But other than that, yes. So not next week. I will write a Dubai special for Ron.
Lovely.
If he wants to deem fit to put it on the website.
Yep, we'll do that.
We'll be back possibly the week after. We'll discuss it upon my return.
Brilliant. Look forward to it.
Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy the sunshine, and spring is in the air. Flat season started. What's not to like?
Exactly right.
Take care now.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Ta-da now.
Post Racing, the site for winners.